Fire for your mind. The culture clinician. Join me live today at 4 o'clock as we talk about how times have changed and the current trending topics as it relates to relationship dynamics and how the world has changed radically since the 90s. Stay tuned. Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
They don't want to cook no more. I wash my own clothes, I iron my own clothes.
What's wrong with modern women? Gone are the days where men get old-school love and reciprocation. Keith Sweat recently added credence to the conversation about how selfish and entitled modern women have become. Was he correct? It is a trend that's been getting more attention lately. And it's not just about men losing interest, but often about emotional exhaustion, unmet needs, or feeling undervalued. When men check out of relationships, it can stem from a mix of personal and relational factors: stress, lack of communication, feeling unheard, or even struggling with vulnerability.
You gotta bring son to the table to get son for me. They don't want to cook no more. I wash my own clothes, I iron my own clothes. I don't mind telling you, I'm single.
But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again. I'm sorry.
No. Hold on. Why not? You don't want to have an honest job?
I mean, he could be a hustling entrepreneur.
So you want him to be a...
Join me live today at 4 o'clock as we talk about...
I'm trying to convince him to ask her out, but he's afraid she'll say no.
I do leave her. Hang on. Guess what? What? Waldo likes Maxine. Steve, stay on the line. Maxine? Yeah. Major scoop. Waldo likes you. Listen, would you ever consider going out with him? I don't know. Maybe. Hold on. Steve, Maxine says she might go out with him. Maxine says she'll go out with Waldo.
Maxine says she can't wait to go out with you.
Really?
Tonight, a movie. Pick her up at 7.
Tomorrow night a movie, pick up at 7, bring flowers and candy.
Okay.
Dating in the 90s. I hope she's a cool girl. I hope she's a cool girl. Versus dating today. I hope she's a girl. I hope she's a girl.
Look at my dad proposed to my mom in the 90s.
was having a conversation with my cousin, and I was telling her, you know what's scary? That in this generation, no one takes love serious anymore. If you think about it, in the 90s, back then, everybody was so serious about their partner. Cheating was such a big deal. People were actually genuine. People actually loved you. People actually stood by their actions. Nowadays, it doesn't matter who you are. People will sell you a dream and they will dispose of you. People these days, they date without intent. And if they do date with intent, sometimes their actions may even match their words. But the crazy thing is, people don't even hold accountability for the things that they do. And nowadays, people will dispose of you as if you're a lottery ticket.
Okay, so y'all loved my nostalgia post when I was talking about how 80s and 90s babies used to party, but let me take y'all back, because just indulge me. A lot of y'all threw me back. Do y'all remember love in the 90s? Love in the 90s and the early 2000s? Like, this is unexplainable to this generation because they could never. Like, this technology, social media, camera phones, it's ruined human connection, but more particularly love. Let me just dial you guys back to the way it used to fucking be. Dating back in the day required actual effort from both men and women alike. And like one of the things we used to do to show our love was make mixtapes. But I don't think you understand the effort and concentration required. You had to sit around your boombox all day just to catch a recording of a song you wanted to put on the mixtape for them off of the fucking radio. You would sit around all day waiting for the top 9 at 9 to come on just so you could hit record at the right fucking moment, waiting for the DJ to shut the fuck up. And now, the top 9 at 9 coming in at number 2, Tyrese, Sweet Lady, record. Back then, we did not argue gender roles because nobody fucking cared. If you were fucking with somebody, it was solely off of love and vibe. We didn't have podcasters and memes or social media brainwashing us, telling us how we're supposed to act to maximize the success of our fucking relationship. It was just ridiculous. Like, I remember driving home from homecoming in the Cutlass Supreme, listening to old school R&B, wearing my date's leather jacket and holding fucking hands. We weren't worried about fucking gender roles. Do y'all remember love letters? Because pre-text messages, all you could do to profess your undying love for somebody was fucking write about it and then give it to them. We used to spend all of first period writing love letters and then the rest of the day hyping ourselves up to deliver them. And I don't think you guys understand how it feels to open your locker and a love letter falls out. And these just weren't regular love letters. They came with poems and drawing. These motherfuckers were origami experts, folding that shit into the shape of hearts or roses. It was just different. You know, it was a lot different than getting a "what are you doing?" or "want a link" text or somebody sliding in your fucking DM. If you wanted to date somebody, it required in-person effort. And the thing is, whether you were a man or you were a woman, you couldn't just slide in somebody's DM and easily get rejected by a social media message. No. You had to go to their fucking face and ask them for their phone number or ask them on a date. And if you got their phone number, you then had to call their house. And their parents would pick up. And you had to ask to speak with them. And then when they got on the phone and you asked them on the date, please understand that their whole entire house was listening on the other house phone, covering the receiver. As soon as you hang up, Bella's got a boyfriend. And back in the day, if you actually got a woman to agree to a date with you, you had to pick her up at her house. And there was no texting her, come outside, I'm pulling up, or, I'm here. No. You had to knock on the door. And when you knocked on the door, you had to meet her father and her brother and her wasp of a sister and her mother. And you had to make your intentions known. And her curfew was fucking clear to you. There was no fuck shit. There was no dodging out on the parents or linking up. And we also were never arguing about who fucking pays for the date because it's just understood. The fucking person who asked. And furthermore, dates were not like this fucking ridiculous production that you guys have turned it into. Women assuming dudes are supposed to spend fucking $500. Like every date is supposed to be their fucking anniversary. No, you were happy as fuck just splitting a fucking pretzel at the mall, holding hands during the fucking couple skate, or even just riding around, eating fucking root beer floats in the car while listening to old school R&B. It was the shit, okay? It was a beautiful and innocent time. And I'm not necessarily saying that like I expect a man to meet my fathers or brothers or whatever the case may be, but like in-person effort and chemistry is still paramount to the success of romance, and we don't have that anymore. I don't know, man. I didn't mean to take y'all back and go so hard, but we always see people online asking what happened to love, and everybody wants to blame it on capitalism or feminism, standards, expectations, gender roles, It is actually none of the above. It is undoubtedly technology. It's the internet and camera phones and social media. They have taken away the requirement of in-person effort. They've taken away the thunder and joy of meeting somebody in person and realizing that at that very moment, if you do not establish a form of communication, you will never speak to them again. The finality, the chemistry, the effort, it's all disappeared. We created the internet and technology so we could bridge oceans and keep everybody connected. And we have never been more disconnected, especially when it comes to love. And I think the part that really kind of hits me is knowing that, people who were born in the 80s and 90s are the last generation of human beings that will ever experience love pre-technology. And that's sad.
Join me live today at 4 o'clock as we talk about how times have changed and the current trending topics as it relates to relationship dynamics and how the world has changed radically since the 90s. Stay tuned. Fire for your mind. Kosher clinician.
Aside to become the kosher clinician, the story and the war cry behind the kosher clinician was similar to some of the struggles and the pains that I have been through as a man. And some of you men are still going through that right now. There's a philosophical term called an existentialist crisis. Basically what that means is that you begin to ask yourself the question, why am I existing? What is the purpose of my existence? And I think that's the story of a lot of men that have not been more or less raised or under the tutelage of masculine men. One of the greatest indictments, guys, about the manosphere is that people assert and assume that the manosphere preaches misogyny and hate. But the manosphere is not responsible and was created a silo as an affront to women or black women. But the manosphere was a response to the pain and suffering that many black men were going through and continue to go through as we speak now. Once again, gentlemen, we are going through an existential crisis. Our country is in trouble. Some of you are in trouble, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And you're not ready to move to higher ground until you get the requisite help that's going to help you become the better version of yourself.
Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician.
All right. There it is.
All right.
Now hit it for me.
And it ain't culture. 7 in hell is what they taught you. We'll put them, and you can back up in young dose. Kosher. Clinician.
All right, stop that. All I want you to say is, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Say that first, okay?
All right.
All right, you ready?
Start over?
Yeah, start it.
No. Okay, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher, and...
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
Okay.
Heaven and hell is what they taught you.
Okay, perfect. Do that again, but give me a little attitude. If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And action.
Young heads picking back up in young dolphin. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician. That was cool.
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up in young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
All right, guys. Thank y'all to the 10 that are tuning in, guys. Do me a favor, guys. Share the stream, please. Hold tight. Share the stream, guys. We can get deeper into it. Thank you, guys, for the 10 that are watching. Let's get the stream up, guys. And also a special thanks to those that have donated to the channel. I'm going to read the comments and read the super chats in a minute. Thank you, guys, for coming in. Well, guys, had a good weekend, man. Had an excellent weekend. As you guys know, my mom passed away about 2 weeks ago. My world hasn't been the same. But God is still good, nonetheless. Hold tight. Let me take these headphones off. Well, actually, I'll put them back on in a minute. But he's still good, nonetheless. If you guys can hear me, hit one. He's still good, nonetheless. And so I had a good time, guys. Had a high school class reunion. It's been 35 years, guys, since the coaching clinician has come out of high school. I can't believe it, man. You know, it seemed like yesterday we were kids. Had some good conversations with classmates, reminiscing about the good times as kids growing up in the country, growing up in the South. And as I told you guys before in the past, I think one of the things that has been so daunting for me as a man, but also just living in a different dispensation of time, is that tomorrow's not ever coming back. If you're a Gen X, like I'm Gen X, I consider myself mid Gen X, middle Gen X. You got baby X, they're closer to, like, you know, on the cusp of being millennials, but they're young enough to be a Gen X. So you got baby X, mid X, and then you got old X. I'm middle X, class of 1990 personified. Shout out to my man Through the Fire podcast. Shout out to him. And as I said, I think one of the most daunting things for me, guys, is I realized that tomorrow's not ever coming back. It ain't ever coming back. And part of my pain and part of my tears behind my mother's death was the fact that tomorrow ain't ever coming back. To those that are new to my channel, sometimes the things I say, it might seem or sound strange to you. You're not used to it. But see, I'm used to a generation when things were normal. Gen X was the last generation. I call it the Gen X Nexus. We were the last generation that was a cross between the nexus point of the current modern milieu that we live in a time when we were kids growing up in the South, when life was simple. We drunk out of spigots. You know, there were only 3 channels. We played with light bulbs. We were creative. The families were more intact. Gen X women weren't perfect. One could argue that Gen X women helped push forth the current agenda that we have now because that seed was there. But I will argue to the contrary that while Gen X women weren't perfect, and they did help push some of this nonsense now, technology has played a major role. Technology helped push some of the crazy expectations, but also Gen X played a role in being simple. But here's the caveat to that. The Sims of the day ain't like the Sims of Gen X. I'm not like the Sims of Gen X. They played a role in our shaping, but the women were slightly better, in my opinion. I think they were still better. Gen X women back then didn't mind cooking a meal for a man. I'm gonna prove that. I'm gonna prove the evidence at some point. They didn't mind cooking a meal for a man. Not where I was from. I grew up in the South, in the eastern part of North Carolina, and they didn't mind taking care of their man. And also, we're gonna talk about age gap relationships at some point too. But this thing that's metastasized now, guys, for the most part, is that you got a generation of women that have not been raised to be wise. You got a generation of men that are weak. They've been taught to self. They don't stand on business. They have very low standards. And I'm just not from that generation. I'm from the generation when men had higher standards. If you were a baby mama, had multiple kids by multiple men, you were a pariah. If you were ran through, you were a pariah. And I got a good sister that I graduated from high school with. Her and I talked about it yesterday in an extensive interview. This going to be coming up at some point. But it was normal for women to comport themselves better. It was old school love. It wasn't nothing for us back in the day to listen to Take 6, which was a contemporary gospel group, choir music, community choir music, John P. Key, Hezekiah Walker, the secular groups, Anita Baker. It was powerful, man. And if you didn't live in that generation, you don't know what you missed. So a lot of times my tears that I shed when my mom died I was shedding tears from yesterday. I was shedding tears because I realized that tomorrow ain't never coming back. And you can get gridlock in the past, or you can accept the current reality that we have, that we live in a very despotic culture. We live in a culture where, romance is gone. You men will never get a chance to experience men traveling and driving on the highway with the wind blowing through your hair and listening to Anita Baker and listening to Sade, whatever her name is. Listen to Whitney Houston. I believe the children are our future. Listen to all types of music that was inspirational. Even the secular music back then was inspirational. And there was a clear demarcation. Glorilla would have never been a gospel artist back in the day. She would have been publicly rebuked. But Gen X men like Keith Sweat that made some songs like Something Ain't Right, Make This Last Forever. He was a crooner back in the day. And Keith Sweat came under a lot of scrutiny here recently because Keith Sweat said, I cook my own food, I iron my own clothes. Well, what Keith Sweat was basically trying to say is, even though some would say his music was simple music, Keith Sweat is a boomer. And Keith Sweat remember a time when women were more genteel and they were more kinder and they treated men better. It was normal for a woman to cook a man a meal. That's why men became passport bros. It was normal to show a man love. It was normal to iron his clothes. But then you got these liberal women like Tracy Ellis Ross, who is from Gen X, that helped promulgate a lot of the nonsense that we have now. And Gen X men did do some simple, Babyface, Tone. But I will argue that the women were still better. Back then, the average Gen X woman was expecting a man to take her to a 5-course meal. It was normal to take her out on a regular date and y'all just listen to some music and kick it. Back in the country where I'm from, we would watch Cars. Especially me myself. My dad would do it. We'd get up early in the morning on Saturday. We would wash our whips, keep them clean the rims off. Sometimes, man, you'd be out for 4 or 5 hours washing your car. This generation don't watch cars. The cars are filthy. They don't know how to change oil. They don't know how. Some of these young men don't know where the battery's at. A lot of these women don't know how to cook food from scratch. They don't do anything for their husbands or their relationships, but keep their hand out. And what they are yearning for, even though they ask for this nonsense, women by nature love to be pursued and they want to be romanticized. But back then, it came with a cost. You had to comport yourself like a lady and a woman. We don't have it anymore. And so, like Keith Sweat said back in the day, something ain't right. Something ain't right with modern dating and relationships. It's a counterculture shift and a counterculture movement. And if you didn't live in that generation, you would think that you were crazy to expect to get the things that we got from that generation. But you're not crazy to expect those things because it was normal back then. It was normal to be treated good. It was normal to go on dates. It was normal for people to show you love. It was normal for communities to be intact. It was normal for women to comport themselves in a good way. So once again, to those that are coming in, they're celebrating my 35th class reunion. I came out of high school class of 1990. That sounds like it's ancient. I was the high school class president of my senior class. Actually, I won it, but they took it from me, guys, because I made a gaffe back then. But I was a powerhouse. We had good athletics. The athletes, in my opinion, were more dedicated to the game. They were more fundamentally sound. We had something to prove back then, because I had a good conversation with one of my classmates. Shout out to my girl Greta, and she was right. We were trying to be world changers as kids back then. But as Gregory Scotland so eloquently pointed out, I do agree in part that some Gen X women back then were beginning to become more career focused and career minded, and some of them, not all, look their nose down on a lot of their men. Let's get to these super chats real quick, guys. We're going to read the stuff out real quick. But I could never date guys in modern times because the modern zeitgeist have destroyed a lot of dating relationships. But let's get into it, guys. Shout out to my man Greg Scotland with that $20 super chat. Guys, share this stream, please, and get the likes up. He says, salute, coach, and much of the behavior of Generation X women is a key reason why many men have developed red pill manosphere, MGTOW, SYSBM. Many of the women ran men through the divorce ringer and the stepdaddy abuse. Yes, I agree. There were some Gen X women of the modern times that have played a role in the brokenness of black men. I totally agree with that. But in their primordial stages, I will argue there was even though there was some rotten apples. Where I'm from in the South, some of the women were decent women. Some of the women that I know now are still married, but they were still influenced by feminist doctrines and feminist ideation. And the woman that said that feminism didn't play a role, I disagree with that. Feminism did play a role, but I think the greater culprit was the advent of social media. Social media helped bring out that cancer called narcissism, and it's metastasized it's metastasized in overdrive now, to the point average women think they're better than the average man, and dating is gone. Women want to go back to the old school dating, man. Driving down the road playing Anita Baker from beginning to end 365 days of the year. I apologize. That's the kind of music we grew up in the 90s, man. Smooth jazz. You know, community choir music. Everything was everything. And if you didn't live in Gen X, you don't know what you missed. Because we were that last nexus point between old school and new school. And it seemed like after 94, things start going down here precipitously. Let me read the next one. Shout out to my man Hashim Shabazz for that 5. Thank you, sir. Shout out to Revelated Spirit of Indifference. He said, look at these chicks crash out. The party that these females were enjoying up to now is over, thanks to KD and other social media. Black men are moving. Yes, we are. Black men are moving differently. And a lot of black men are not getting married, man, sadly, man. They're just not getting married. They don't want to get married. They don't see the benefit. And a lot of women are upset that men now understand the games they ran in the past. Men that have knowledge of what women were doing back then, but they did now, and some don't like that their secrets are being exposed. I'm shouting out to Hashim Shabazz once again for the 5. Shout out to Hashim Shabazz once again for the 2. Thank you, sir. Gregory Scotland said, you can't build a collective of women who speak too much about themselves. That's that narcissism cancer that I was talking about, Brother Gregory. I agree with you 100%. Revelated Spirit of Variance, thank you for being a member for 7 months. He said, unfortunately, Gen X was ground zero for all of this. Yeah, I can see that. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think Gen X women they were like, in my opinion, Revelated Spirit was different. They were like in between. They were still traditional, but they were beginning to metastasize to modernism and some of this more progressive feminism. But Gen X women still from the South that I remember, I know my anecdotal experience might not be the experience of everybody else. They still were better overall, in my opinion, compared to now. Because some of those girls I saw at my class reunion, my 35th class reunion, like I said, I came out of high school in 1990. It's been 35 years. And as I said earlier, I yearn for yesterday, man. I yearn for the generation of old. I'm so grateful to have experienced Gen X. I wouldn't trade for nothing in the world, brother. Greg would say, Coach, you are one of the best at using a personal experience and expanding to help others deal with their own psychological challenge. Man, I appreciate that, Greg. I'm forever honored for that, man. I try, man. I'm doing these shows, man. It's hard, man. That's why I tell you guys to share the stream. I'm trying to grow this brand and channel, but it's hard, man. It's a lot of work. It literally took me about 6 hours to put this show together. Today was the last day of our class reunion. I didn't even go to the last event because I wanted to make sure I gave you guys some content on today. But I got some good stuff for you guys today. I got some real good stuff. I got a live interview from one of my homeboys. Shout out to Bashir. Revelator said, I'm late Gen X. Okay, late Gen X. He said, nope. He said, Gorilla definitely haven't gotten as far as she did back then. I totally agree. Gregory said, it's so bad that some of the goofy women on Popular Balloon chastising a black man. Yeah, I saw that, telling him, what is he supposed to say? Yeah. It's so wicked now, Gregory. I agree with you 100%. I saw that foolishness, man, where they try to shame this man for saying he didn't want a woman with short hair. That's his preference. And now it's so bad, it shows you how evil this gynocratic culture is. But now they don't understand that because the content like mine and content like other men exposing that nonsense, because women back then didn't move like that. Women back then understood that if you wanted to be with a good man, you had to become what that man wanted you to be. Now women want the man to become what she wants him to be, and he follows her leadership, which is antithetical to a healthy relationship. Healthy relationships are based on mutual reciprocity. Bashua said, as a Gen X woman born 1970, I recall going out to dinner on the first date, no expense. Yes, restaurants. And on the second day, I would cook the man a meal to show, yes, women back then were auditioning. You're 100% correct, sis. They were auditioning. My girl, a good friend of mine,
I interviewed her at my class reunion, and it was just normal. That's why when chicks tell me I'm cooking a man a meal, they say it's wife duties. No, woman, you sound like a fool. Cooking a man a meal is just being kind. It's just being altruistic. But if you want to audition for a wife, then you need to cook that man a meal. You're still, every woman got to audition till she get the ring. But women now just think by default they're entitled to the ring. No different than men got to audition, meaning his ability to protect you, him taking you out to a nice dinner and paying for it. He's auditioning. But somehow when it comes down to what men want, that's what he's supposed to do in modern times. But when it comes down to what a woman's supposed to do, that's old school. You're a slave and you're a maid. And I know what I'm talking about because one of my classmates that I interviewed, hold on for a minute, guys. Hold on. Yeah, one of my classmates that I interviewed, she said the same thing that I said. It was just normal back then. And when you guys hear me talking the way that I talk, women back in the 90s, I'm not saying the women back in the 90s won't be in the bed because they weren't, but they were classy about it. These chicks now are not classy at all. They're not classy. They get mad at any other men for calling out the bad behavior. It's crazy. Being a baby mama back in the day was shameful. Some men, I said a little like that, but I didn't look at it. It don't mean they're bad people, but I look at that. My standards were high as a man. Yeah, first in the class with me, man, 1975, man. They don't know the Brunos. I changed your best, man. Y'all baby X, man. Y'all baby X, man. I'm the real X. Yeah, they indoctrinated their kids in them things. I totally agree. Shout out to my brother Tom, man. Shout out to him. So we're gonna get into it, guys. If you like what I'm doing, your audio is off. Okay, hold on. If y'all can hear me, hit one, please. Testing. Somebody see my audio is off. Hold on. Can y'all hear me better now? That should be better. If y'all can hear me now, hit one, please. Hit one of you. If that's better, let me know. That should be better. I had to go to my soundboard. If that's better, hit one, please. Somebody says shorten it out. Okay, which one is it? Your mic is shortening out. All right, how about now, guys? Hold tight. I can't hear myself. But hold tight. This is a multi-operational thing, guys. When you run the YouTube channel and doing streaming, man, you're a one-man show, so it can get a little crazy at times. So hold tight. But anyway, like I said, guys, the class reunion was excellent. Is it better? I don't know if it's too loud. It might be a little too loud. Let me turn it down a little bit. Okay, so somebody said one. All right, somebody said they can hear. All right, perfect. Let me turn it down just a little. Let me turn the mic volume down just a little bit. Turn the mic volume down. All right, so we're gonna get back into it. All right, so let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. You're good now. We can hear you. All right, great. All right, thank you guys for telling me. So anyway, let's get into it, guys. And let's look at this crazy nonsense between Keith Sweat and modern women.
Sweat recently added credence to the conversation about how selfish and entitled modern women have become. Was he correct? It is a trend that's been getting more attention lately. And it's not just about men losing interest, but often about emotional exhaustion, unmet needs, or feeling undervalued. When men check out of relationships, it can stem from a mix of personal and relational factors: stress, lack of communication, feeling unheard, or even struggling with vulnerability.
You gotta bring son to the table to get son for me. They don't want to cook no more. I wash my own clothes, I iron my own clothes. I don't mind telling y'all.
Keith Sweat came under scrutiny, guys, because Keith Sweat remember what we remember. It was just normal back then, man. Came under scrutiny. He just want a woman to cook for him and show him some love, man. He sweats that these chicks got him twisted. And if you're not from Gen X, you won't know what I'm talking about, man.
But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were.
And women like Tracy Ellis Ross help push something called paranoid persecution. It's called paranoid persecution. Every man that she see or any man that she see, he's seen in the lens of being toxic. He's seen this being in the lens of controlling. Tracy Ellis Ross is Gen X. She's probably a year under me. And there was a percentage of women like Tracy Ellis Ross that contributed, in my opinion, to the current malaise that we have now. They contributed to the current malaise that we have now. So something ain't right. And you're going to see where she had beef with, Keith Sweat for saying what he said. And that's how bad our generation has gotten, guys. That's how horrible it's gotten.
Or a prize I have no interest in it and I will not do it again.
I'm sorry.
No. Hold on.
Why not? You don't want to have an honest job?
I mean, he could be a hustling entrepreneur.
And this is the fiasco. Women like B. Simone, that said that she didn't want a man to be a 9-to-5, but now she's currently broke. And so these crazy standards that are attributed to average men, where she doesn't have to bring anything to the table or anything to affirm the man, it's a problem. Social media has made average women think they're better than what they really are. And it's led to the great deluge that we have now in dating. If you got a decent husband or a decent wife and you're from Gen X, you better stay with them because you're not getting anything but trash now. You're not getting anything quality now in this generation. Because they don't know what we remember as Gen X. And that's not all their fault because technology shaped them. But they still know basic right from wrong. And when we try to correct, many don't want to listen.
So you want him to be you want CEO status?
Yes.
Okay, he can't clock in and clock out.
No.
Damn,
I
B.
think
Simone.
entrepreneurs should date entrepreneurs.
She said she won't date a man that got a 9-to-5.
People have really good jobs with folks.
Sound like she need to get a 9-to-5.
But even if y'all let the clip in, please.
But no, you're not going to understand my lifestyle. You're not going to understand why I'm up at 3 a.m.
Damn, you making this
you,
hard. Okay, all right.
You know, he has to be an entrepreneur.
A business owner. He getting one of them stimulus packages.
And she telling the man that he got to be a business owner. But what is the man getting? Is he getting a woman that's a virgin, wife ready, emotionally intelligent, ready to serve her husband? Or is he getting a woman that's been traumatized, paranoid persecution, want love under her own conditions outside of the man, and a man that she wants to feminize based on how she see masculinity?
From Donald Trump, one of the small business loans, and he ain't buying jewelry with it.
Or moving into that direction.
Yes. All right.
The clip won't date the bus driver that makes $50,000. Some people look at you like you have a disconnect.
And just like inflation is at an all-time high, delusion is at an all-time high. And my heart goes out to you single men that have never been married, because the expectations of modern women is so out of reality. You got women now that say, I'm not cooking for a man. I'm not going to cook for a man. I'm not a maid. I'm not your slave. But if you expect a man to take you out to dinner, pay your bills, protect you, he's not a slave based on your definition. So much mental illness, guys, and so much cognitive distortions, man. It's crazy, man. It is so crazy.
On what
thing?
And sadly, guys, most men have been reduced. A lot of men have been reduced to a pocketbook. Now listen to her diatribe about Keith Sweat. Listen to her diatribe about Keith Sweat and her take on Gen X men. Listen to her diatribe about Keith Sweat and her take on Gen X men. Listen to this. Hold tight.
To have high standards in dating, it's another thing entirely to sound like you're stuck in the olden days with your expectations. A recent clip of R&B legend Keith Sweat went viral for all the wrong reasons after he took the stage, not just to perform, but to vent about why he's still single at 63. "I don't mind telling you I'm single," he told a crowd. "I done met too many entitled women. You gotta bring something to the table to get something from me." He went on to say women today don't want to cook no more, and bragged about doing his own ironing and laundry. To many.
Now, this is her retort. This is her retort to Keith Sweat. This is her retort to Keith Sweat. This is her retort to Keith Sweat and his desire for traditional old school women. And she equally said, you can find women 50, 60 to do stuff like that. But Keith Sweat is an old school Gen X, an old school boomer, and he might want a younger woman like that can do those things. If you got a woman that's not contributing to your relationship and she don't want to work, get rid of her. Don't put a ring on her finger. Make her earn that ring. Gregory Scotland said that, Kosha, how many times over the past 4 years have you mentioned the fact that there are these subpar women who think they deserve free? Yeah, I've said it multiple times. It's delusional. And I'm going to show it to you guys in a minute. Like I said, I got a high school classmate, and we talked about how different it was back in the day, because we both were Gen X, man.
Online, especially Black women, the energy in his message was less grown and sexy and more, "Please sit down." One voice that quickly chimed in was none other than Tamar Braxton, who commented, "'Cause you with the wrong one cooking for you, pop pop." Deeper than the jokes, however, Sweat's comments exposed a generational divide in how men perceive women's roles and why so many women of his age group are avoiding men like him altogether. Tracy Ellis Ross explained a few weeks ago.
They avoided men. They avoided men like him altogether, but they still expecting modern men to be traditional, hold the door open, pay bills, protect her, take her out to dinner, give her old school romance. See, women like Tracy Ellis Ross is a victim of divorced parents. She believes in paranoid persecution. What makes her feel safe is that she can control the relationship. And because of that, the only kind of men she's going to get are weak men. Gen X men back then might have done some simping, yes. And some of them are still simping, and some of the boomers are too. But Gen X men, especially in the South, myself, they do remember women being better when it came down to doing more traditional things. But we're going to talk about it in a minute. Hold tight.
About men similar to Keith Sweat on Michelle Obama's IMO podcast. The 52-year-old powerhouse actress opened up about why she prefers dating younger men, and she may as well have had Sweat in mind when she said it. "Men my age are steeped in toxic masculinity," Ross explained. "I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or a prize. I just have no interest in it." Ross made it plain that she's not here to raise anyone's son. If that son is old enough to have shared a stage with New Edition, she's even less likely to sign up for the job. Her take resonated.
Yeah, they see themselves, guys, as victims. That's that paranoid persecution mindset. That's a cognitive distortion. It's a cognitive distortion. That's called paranoid persecution. And many have a condition called the Medusa complex. Many have a condition called the Medusa complex. The minimization of masculinity and the magnification of the divine feminine. And anything synonymous to honor and respect of the man is greatly diminished.
With countless Black women who've experienced older men stuck in outdated gender roles, expecting women to cook, clean, and bring something.
She said, outdated gender roles, guys. A world that men created, a world where they benefited from it, a world without the ingenuity of competent, hardworking men. She would never have the gravitas to say it. But now you're seeing the suffragists on full display. Many have given their virtue away. They're giving their bodies to multiple men. They don't value men unless the man is her accessory and the man is following her program. They don't believe in male leadership. They think that money makes them equal to a man, not understanding it's her femininity that corrals him. And it's so horrible, it's caused a lot of men to have a low self-esteem. I will never tolerate what the average man tolerates. If I got to argue with you and debate on you and you see cooking and cleaning as being a slave, you're not worthy of my time, my love, and my protection, and my guidance as a man. You're free to go to the streets. From the streets you came, and from the streets you will return. That liberal nonsense has destroyed the beauty of relationships from the past, man. And it doesn't appear to be getting any better.
To the table, all while bringing little but audacity. There are plenty of women in their 50s and 60s who do cook, clean, and hold down successful careers. Unfortunately, those are not the women Keith Sweat is likely referring to. What's really happening here is that men like Sweat want the benefits of a grown woman while dating someone young enough to be their daughter. If he were dating women his own age, he might not be running into the so-called entitled types. But aiming for younger women, especially those in their 30s, while bringing that tired, what do you bring to the table? Energy is where the disconnect lies. Women are noticing. There's a growing class of Black women, especially in the 24-35 age range, who are redefining what dating looks like. They're emotionally self-aware, financially independent, and not here for the bare minimum expectation.
And you know what burns me up? It's always this false equivocation that women were treated bad and men, all men exploited them. And reciprocity is something bad. In the past, when men gave their lives and put their lives on the line for their families, and sometimes to the point that some die early. Some die early. And then all of a sudden, you're trying to tell me that it's a problem? It's a problem? This was just basic, normal stuff. When a woman was auditioning to be a wife, she would cook a meal for a man. she would bake a pie as virtue signaling. She would cook an apple pie and put some cinnamon on it to let that man know that I got skills and I can cook the same apple pie for you, because back then it was called relationship symmetry. But you got women now that got these expectations. They have not done anything And what it's caused a lot of men to have a low self-esteem. It's caused communities to fall apart. It's caused men to become apathetic and indifferent. And it's metastasizing worse and worse and worse. Men are simple. They want traditional women. But what they get now are women that are entitled. They say they're independent, but they're not really independent because men created a world that have made them be more self-sufficient. A woman is supposed to be self-sufficient until she can become interdependent with her husband. No man lives on the island to himself. But the modern woman has forgotten about that, sadly.
Wrapped in old school values. Keith Sweat's frustration isn't about women being entitled. It's about women having boundaries, standards, and options. For some men, it is a reality too hard to face. Tracy Ellis Ross warned everyone. She saw this energy coming from miles away and chose peace, purpose, and fine young suitors instead. All of which is completely understandable.
And like Keith Sweat said back in the day, something just ain't right, guys. Something just ain't right. Let's look at these clips, guys, real quick, and then I'm gonna get to the interview that I had with my homeboy from high school.
Trying to convince him to ask her out, but he's afraid she'll say no.
I do labor.
So this is where, guys, this is where what we left pre-dating in the 90s. You had to know how to talk. We wrote love letters. We did origamis. You had to cold approach a girl. Now, I didn't do a lot of dating because I was in the church. I grew up Pentecostal, so we didn't do no dating. I won't knocking them down. When I grew up in the 90s in church, you had to have a chaperone. If you were dating a woman, or if a woman was under your presence, if you went on a date with a woman, you had to have a chaperone so that you won't give yourself to temptation. That's how we operated back in the day, but not anymore. The world now is radically different.
Guess what? What? Waldo likes Maxine. Steve, stay on the line. Maxine? Yeah. Major scoop. Waldo likes you. Listen, would you ever consider going out with him? I don't know. Maybe. Hold on. Steve, Maxine says she might go out with him. Maxine says she'll go out with Waldo.
Maxine says she can't wait to go out with you.
Really? When?
When?
I don't know. Maybe tomorrow? Tomorrow night a movie. Tomorrow night a movie. Pick her up at 7.
Tomorrow night a movie. Pick up at 7. Bring flowers and cake.
And listen, look at how the men back then interacted with the women, guys. Look at how the men back then interacted with the women. Men didn't mind slaying the dragon back then. Did we simp some in the 90s? Yeah, we simped to some degree. All men have been trained to simp. But when my dad married my mama, my daddy got a virgin. My dad didn't get a brand new woman. My mom didn't have kids. Most women of that time were virgins. My aunts, my grandmothers, it was just normal. But it's not normal anymore. And what you're getting now is a woman that's been liberally indoctrinated by neoliberal, Eurocentric dogmas. And if you let them tell you, all men play the role in female oppression. And I had a good conversation with one of my classmates, and we were talking about how a lot of these women were innocent. How some of these women had children out of wedlock, and we always talk about men having children with different women, but some of these women knew these men were married. Some of these women had multiple kids. Some of these women had multiple kids by multiple men back then, but the men didn't know it. So grandmama wasn't innocent, and neither was granddaddy. But if you listen to the women, all men were bad, and the women were the victims. And I'm sick of this one-sided narrative where we're castigating and denigrating men. I'm sick of it.
Okay.
Dating in the 90s. I hope she's a cool girl. I hope she's a cool girl. Versus dating today. I hope she's a girl. I hope
Right.
she's a girl.
Right. The dating, look how skinny people was, man. Look how skinny people were. I mean, man, God, man, I relish the 90s, man. The 90s was some good times, man. The mid 80s and the 90s, basketball was good, man. The world was just so balanced, man. But I realized, God, them days are over with. It's over. And we ain't never going back to them days again. And the quicker you adjust to it, the better. Now, y'all gonna laugh at me, man. This was me in high school. That was me my senior year, guys, in high school. That was coach in high school. That was my senior when I had hair. I was about 6'4", about 220, class president. High top fade, yep. That was me back in 90. That was me back in 1990, man. 1990, class of 90. Gen X, the last great gen. In the 70s, a lot of black women, my aunt included, went back to get their MRS degrees. They went back to get their MRS degrees. They got their MRS degrees back in the 70s. That was just the norm. Most women went to college not only to get an education, but to get a husband. They took dating serious. They didn't put career at the top. Now, we could argue that a lot of the women from the boomer and Gen X women told women to get their careers, and some of the men sabotaged them too. But they messed a lot of women up. Sadly, they messed a lot of women up. Yeah, but sure, you were a baby. Yeah, Simon, so we used to take rides to other HBCUs in Virginia, meet up with friends. Yeah, it was different back then, man. And yes, men did put in effort back then, and men were conditioned to simp. But I would argue overall that women back then were more classy than women now. Women back then were a lot more classy than modern women now. Women of Gen X were getting it in. They were just quiet with it. They were riding dirty. I'm gonna show y'all something. They were riding dirty back then, but they were just quiet with it. Hold tight. I'm trying to blow this thing up so y'all can see it. I'll show it to y'all in a minute. Hold tight. I got some good stuff for y'all. Guys, do me a favor, guys. Share the stream, donate to the channel. I got some good stuff for y'all, man. But I'm going to prove my point. I'm going to prove my point.
at my dad propose.
And see, the problem with women is that women of the 90s, many of them thought they were the prize by default. They've always thinking they were the prize by default, and the woman is not the prize by default. Men and women both have prize-worthy elements. The man is the master prize. She's his special prize. The master prize versus the special prize. The master prize leads the special prize. The master prize sees favor in his special prize, therefore he pursues her. Many men, because they want discipline, gave their prize value away because many men never saw their value and many had low self-esteem.
To my mom in the 90s.
Now, guys, look at the difference of Gen X women. Look at the hairstyles. You know, the men and women both weren't fat. They weren't fat. They were in better shape. Women back then didn't have a bunch of the same hairstyle, wigs on their heads with baby hair. Gen X women weren't perfect, but in my opinion, they were better. They weren't better. They weren't perfect. But I think they were better. And Gen X women played a role in the demise of what we have now. But I would say the greater thing that played the role was the advent of social media.
So the other day, I was having a conversation with my cousin, and I was telling her, you know what's scary? That in this generation, no one takes love serious anymore. If you think about it, in the 90s, back then, everybody was so serious about their partner. Cheating was such a big deal. People were actually genuine. People actually loved you. People actually stood by their actions. Nowadays, it doesn't matter who you are. People will sell you a dream and they will dispose of you. People these days, they date without intent. And if they do date with intent, sometimes their actions may even match their words. But the crazy thing is, people don't even hold accountability for the things that they do. And nowadays, people will dispose of you as if you're a lottery ticket.
Okay, so y'all loved my nostalgia post when I was talking about how 80s and 90s babies used to party, but let me take y'all back, because just indulge me. A lot of y'all threw me back. Do y'all remember love in the 90s? Love in the 90s and the early 2000s? Like, this is unexplainable to this generation because they could never. Like, this technology, social media, camera phones, it's ruined human connection, but more particularly love. Let me just dial you guys back to the way it used to fucking be. Dating back in the day required actual effort from both men and women alike. And like one of the things we used to do to show our love was make mixtapes. But I don't think you understand the effort and
she's right. We did make mixtapes. We wrote letters. Men back in the day would pursue women if we thought that they were decent girls. It won't nothing to take a girl out or just have some ice cream at the park. You know, it was just simple, man. And man, you know, that's part of why I it's so sad my class reunion made me realize it because I know, like I said, tomorrow ain't never coming back, man. It ain't never coming back.
Around your boombox all day just to catch a recording of a song you wanted to put on the mixtape for them off of the fucking radio. You would sit around all day.
Y'all forgive the language, guys. I do not approve the language. Y'all forgive the language, guys. Forgive the language.
And now, the top 9 at 9 coming in at number 2, Tyrese, Sweet Lady, record. Back then, we did not argue gender roles because nobody fucking cared. If you were fucking with somebody, it was solely off of love and vibe. We didn't have podcasters and memes or social media brainwashing us, telling us how we're supposed to act to maximize the success of our fucking relationship. It was just ridiculous. Like, I remember driving home from homecoming in the Cutlass Supreme, listening to old school R&B, wearing my date's leather jacket and holding fucking hands. We weren't worried about fucking gender roles. Do y'all remember love letters? Because pre-text messages, all you could do to profess your undying love for somebody was fucking write about it and then give it to them. We used to spend all of first period writing love letters and then the rest of the day hyping ourselves up to deliver them. And I don't think you guys understand how it feels to open your locker and a love letter falls out. And these just weren't regular love letters. They came with poems and drawing. These motherfuckers were origami experts, folding that shit into the shape of hearts or roses. It was just different. You know, it was a lot different than getting a "what are you doing?" or want a link text or somebody sliding in your fucking DM. If you wanted to date somebody, it required in-person effort. And the thing is, whether you were a man or you were a woman, you couldn't just slide in somebody's DM and easily get rejected by a social media message. No. You had to go to their fucking face and ask them their phone number or ask them on
Color Supreme,
and if you
Regal.
got their phone number, you then had to call their house. And their parents would pick up. And you had to ask to speak with them. And then when they got on the phone and you asked them on the date, please understand that their whole entire house was listening on the other house phone, covering the receiver. As soon as you hang up, Bella's got a boyfriend. And back in the day, if you actually got a woman to agree to a date with you, you had to pick her up at her house. And there was no texting her, come outside, I'm pulling up, or, I'm here. No. You had to knock on the door. And when you knocked on the door, you had to meet her father and her brother and her wasp of a sister and her mother. And you had to make your intentions known. And her curfew was fucking clear to you. There was no fuck shit. There was no dodging out on the parents or linking up. And we also were never arguing about who fucking pays for the date because it's just understood. The fucking person who asked. And furthermore, dates were not like this fucking ridiculous production that you guys have turned it into. Women assuming dudes are supposed to spend fucking $500. Like every date is supposed to be their fucking anniversary. No, you were happy as fuck just splitting a fucking pretzel at the mall.
Once again, guys, forgive the language. I don't know. I didn't realize she was cursing so much. Forgive the language, please. Please forgive the language. Forgive the language. But she's telling the truth. Shout out to Primo from Minneapolis. Thanks for checking in, brother. But she's telling the truth.
Holding hands during the fucking couple skate, or even just riding around, eating fucking root beer floats in the car while listening to old school R&B. It was
she's right. Okay? It was simple, man.
An innocent time. And I'm not necessarily saying that like I expect a man to meet my fathers or brothers or whatever the case may be, but like in-person effort and chemistry is still paramount to the success of romance, and we don't have that anymore. I don't know, man. I didn't mean to take y'all back and go so hard, but we always see people online asking what happened to love, and everybody wants to blame it on capitalism or feminism, standards, expectations, gender roles, It is actually none of the above. It is
That's why I disagree with her. She's right in part, but I disagree with that. If that played a role, I don't think that was a major culprit. But it definitely played a role. It definitely played a role.
Undoubtedly, technology. It's the internet and camera phones and social
I agree,
media.
They've
taken away the requirement of in-person effort. They've taken away the thunder and joy of meeting somebody in person and realizing that at that very moment, if you do not establish a form of communication, you will never speak to them again. The finality, the chemistry, the effort, it's all disappeared. We created the internet and technology so we could bridge oceans and keep everybody connected. And we have never been more disconnected, especially when it comes to love. And I think the part that really kind of hits me is knowing that, people who were born in the 80s and 90s are the last generation of human
Last
beings
generation.
that will ever experience.
She is 100% right. Correct. Last generation that will ever experience what we experienced, man. Like me and my homies said, the class reunion, we were the last of that generation, man. Basketball, we had true backup. We had the true backup big men. It was just different, guys. It was just radically different, man. It was radically different. Man, I miss the '90s, man. And these are some of my classmates, some of my homeboys from the class of '90. As you can see, the girls back then they didn't look ratchet. Class of '90, they didn't look ratchet, guys. One of my classmates, y'all see 6'6" coming through, man. One of my classmates from high school, our high school reunion. Shout out to my sis, good friend of mine, good sister. That's my homeboy's wife. And that's my man. That's my man DMX right there. That's my man DMX. That's my man DMX right there. That's DMX. I had to reincarnate him. That's DMX right there, my homeboy. That's DMX, man. We had good football. Our football was crazy, man. That was a football team back in the '90s. We were like 2 games away from going to the state championship that year. And our basketball team also was 2 points away from 2 points of going to the state. And hold on, I'm gonna show y'all yours truly. And that was me. That was me. Look at 6'5", man. I was a beast on the boards, man. I was a banger. I was a banger on the boards. I was a banger. Kosher was a banger, guys. Kosher was a banger, man. I could shoot. I could shoot that pill too. I could shoot that pill. Yeah, my girl Tracy. Shout out to her. Some of the pictures from the reunion. But yeah, man, them days gone, man. Them days are over, man. I'm so grateful. I grew up in the class of '90, man. I'm so grateful, man. We got the first round district. We won 3 games in the. We got to the regional. We got to the regional championship. We had to run the regional. We went to the state championship that year. We were 2 games away from going to the state football championship my senior year, man. I didn't play football. I played basketball, but
Love pre-technology, and that's sad.
yeah, them days are gone. I'm gonna show you guys something. Then I'm gonna end the stream briefly, guys. Share the stream, please, and donate to the channel, guys. Get the likes up. Yeah, I'll be so busy, man. I will be doing more shows, man, but I'm just so busy. I might have to start doing smaller clips too, man. But hit the likes up. Now, guys, look at black women back in the '70s, late '70s and '80s. Look how fine and beautiful that woman was, man. All natural, Look how natural she is. Look how natural she is, guys. Flat stomach, no weaves, no baby hairs. I mean, women back then were black sisters in the past were something else, man. But what you got now is trash. No class. A lot of them ran through. Entitled. Yeah, it's crazy, man. But sure, so my high school track team was the bomb. I was on the team trying to follow my daddy's footsteps. My daddy was a state champion hurler, and even met someone who competed against him. So you had skills, Bashir? You ran track? How tall are you, Bashir? Yeah, you're a city girl. Y'all ain't ready for us country boys though. In the country, man, we put that fire on you in the country, man. We were rabbit hunters, man. In the country, man, we got to live in the country, man. I'm glad I grew up in the country. I'm proud of the country. But sure said she was a track star. You got the pictures, for sure, for the people. I would love to see them. But anyway, look at how beautiful this woman was, guys. Now let's look at what they said. Let's read the comments. This picture was taken 46 years ago. Her name was Phyllis Fisher. She was a community organizer in Baltimore City and very successful woman. My reason for posting this is that it brought memories of my childhood. When I was a kid in the early 80s, I would see women who looked like her and daydream about them. Yeah, I was mesmerized not only by their beauty, but also their grace. They had a level of elegance and sophistication that was magnetic to me. And that's why men are becoming passport bros, because they're looking for beautiful women to look just like her. Look how pretty that woman is, guys. Flat stomach, pretty skin, beautiful woman. Man, I wish y'all could really have been there when the old folks would talk about back in the day. Yes, it's because our childhood was different. It was radically different. The youth would never know. The youth would never know a world where the community really raised the kids. We played outside in the summer until the lights came on. Yes, I remember that. We would go outside and play ball. We were in the sun. We would play from sun up to sundown playing ball on the dirt court, man, getting it in. We were skinny. And we still ate crazy food, but we burned it off because we were getting a lot of exercise back in the day. It was community. Back then, people in your community would discipline you. The lights thing, you could play outside all night long. I yearn for them days, man. I yearn for it. And it's a deep pain because I know it's not ever coming back. I know it's not ever coming back. We didn't cuss in front of the grown folks. We would borrow sugar from the neighborhood 3 houses down. Your mom would send you to the store and with a note saying she needed a pack of cigarettes and got credit. She got paid. My dad used to get credit, get food on credit. Because growing up in the South back then, I think my dad said when he first got his job back in early 70s, he was making like $2 an hour. He worked at the paper mill. And back in the 80s, he was making like $6 an hour. And you couldn't tell him nothing. That was good money back then. $6 an hour? Shoot. That was good money. Listen, guys, our house back in 71 only cost $15,000. A brand new car in the 70s was about $3,000. Brand new car. And you could raise a family on one income back in the day. But you got women now saying a man who pay all the bills. But only 10% of men make $150,000. And if that man is making $150,000, what is he getting a woman? You're not getting nothing special. You're not getting nothing special. You're going to traumatize a woman that's been ran through many times, kids by other men, multiple deletions, and highly entitled.
And the women had class no matter what they did behind closed doors, right? From the 50s to the 80s, blacks had it better than we realized. What a time to be alive, right? They weren't perfect, but they were better women back then. Them women were better women. They were better women. And I will argue they were the greatest women ever.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Fighters keepers, losers we.
Let me show y'all this picture real quick, and then we'll get to the second part. Look at the women back then. Look at how elegant. Look how elegant black women were, guys, back in the 70s. All natural hair, no weaves, no wigs. Look how beautiful this woman is, guys. Look how beautiful she is. Flex stomach, beautiful women. I mean, gorgeous black women. Very feminine. You got a lot of bang for your buck back then, guys. You're getting a lot of processed GMO mess now. You're not getting nothing special. In this day and age, you're not. You're not getting anything special. Wow. Congrats to you, Bashir. That's impressive. Very impressive. Yep. The last generation, not to record everything, there was a certain freedom that no recorded events, just great memories. Yep. Yep. I totally agree. No GMOs, sis. I agree with you 100%. Wow, you were tiny. You were tiny. Okay, you said, unfortunately, not a track. I do have a picture of me the day of my cotillion. What is that? What's a cotillion? I think I heard that word before. Yeah. Feel free to post. I would love to see it. My husband pay all the bills. Okay. My mama rocked the afro. Yeah. Yeah. If you got a picture of Bashir, feel free to send it. I would love to see it. But it was different. Radically different, guys. Radically different. Now, let me get to the last part of the show, and then we're going to end this because I got things to do. I just wanted to make sure I came back and show you guys this show. I worked on this thing, guys, for several hours. So this is my homeboy, and my homeboy and I, we chopped it up yesterday, so we're going to get into it. Join me live today at 4 o'clock as we talk about how times have changed and the current trending topics as it relates to relationship dynamics and how the world has changed radically since the 90s. Stay tuned.
They don't respect.
Right. All right, guys, this is one of my classmates from the high school class reunion. We're going to chop it up about how things were different. How things were different when we grew up in the 90s, man. This is one of my homeboys. They were our rivals when we were in elementary school.
And they don't respect I think they don't respect the man's position in the home.
Right. You know, it seemed like CB, when we came out of high school, the world wasn't bad, but it seemed like it was getting bad. Let's talk about you a little bit. You know, you played high school football, you played college football. I'm gonna argue you was one of the better guys on our high school team. You were a linebacker, right, or DN?
No, defensive end,
Defensive end.
wide receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you think about this life in general, what do you miss about the 90s, man? What do you miss about the 90s when we were kids growing up compared to now? What do you miss?
I mean, one thing I really miss, a lot of people may not get it, but I miss a lot of families, they had like grandmothers in the house. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me personally,
Yeah, Gen X was the last generation of Big Mama. Gen X was the last generation of Big Mama. It was the last generation of Big Mama. And once again, it ain't never coming back.
I learned a lot from my grandmother, and she is still a lot of.
Hold on.
But it seemed like it was getting bad. Let's talk about you a little bit. You know, you played high school football, you played college football. I'm gonna argue you was one of the better guys on our high school team. You were a linebacker, right, or DN?
No, defensive end, wide receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you think about this life in general, what do you miss about the 90s, man? What do you miss about the 90s when we were kids growing up compared to now? What do you miss?
I mean, one thing I really miss, a lot of people may not get it, but I miss a lot of families, they had like grandmothers in the house. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me personally, I learned a lot from my grandmother, and she is still a lot of things in me as far like respecting your elders,
right,
and being respectful to authority figures, which took me a long way in high school. That's why I was coachable. I respected all my teachers, and I respected all my elders. I think that took me a long way in life.
And the brother's telling the truth. Back then, even game bangers didn't hurt old. Game bangers back then still had a healthy respect for children and elderly people, even though they were game banging. But they don't have no respect for nothing now, man. It's almost like these kids now are highly demonic. They're demonic. But sure, text me when you send that picture. I'll show it to the people, man. I'd love to see it. But anyway, that's my home, but we went to high school. Let's get back into it.
As far as high school and college. And the youngsters these days, they don't really respect the authority, they don't really respect their elders, and they're not good listeners. So they're not being good listeners, therefore they're not good communicators. And so they don't communicate with each other. Rather than talk it out, you see another day, they'll pull out a gun and kill their brother or sister.
Right.
Because they're not good communicators.
Right.
Because they don't know how.
You know, CB, man, when you think about, let's go back to dating and marriage. Once again, this brother inspired me. He was in Jet magazine, beautiful wife.
Yeah, now, this is my homeboy. We didn't go to the same elementary school. We were rivals at elementary school. They beat us in the elementary championship. I think we split in basketball. We were talking junk. But he was in Ebony magazine. Back then, Ebony magazine will often chronicle couples dating and relationships. And even though he's been married twice, you saw black love, you saw black excellence because you had Jet and you had Ebony magazine. And I remember seeing him in Jet, and I said, man, I want that. I remember him saying, when I saw it, I said, I was always ambitious, but it pushed me to go to school, man. I went to North Carolina Central, UNC Chapel Hill, where I got my master's. But like my girlfriend said, we were game changers back then. We were world changers. We were very ambitious, man. Very ambitious.
He went to Elizabeth City State University. If you could go back in time and change things about yourself and manhood, what would you tell young men now that your fathers and other men didn't tell you in the past? What would you tell young men about marriage, dating, and standing on business as a man? What would you tell the young people, man?
I mean, looking back during them years I was young, I had a knowledge of God, but I really didn't allow him into my life.
Yes, sir, right.
And I would tell any young man to make God the center of any relationship.
Yes, sir. With respect.
And when you got Christ in the center of it,
yes,
you'll be more compassionate of the female that you bring into your life.
Right.
And before you take the wrong step, you'll be always in a position to take the right step. So with Christ in your life. So I think that's one of the big mistakes I made growing up. I went to church, but I really wasn't acting it out. I was listening, but I didn't put it into my life. And so therefore, I would meet a lot of girls, knowing that I'm not supposed to be with them, but I was with them just because I want to satisfy my flesh.
Flesh, respect.
Which was lust.
Respect.
You know what I'm saying? I realized now by me being an older man, you know what I'm saying, it was a big mistake.
So it sounds like to me you believe in penis discipline. Believe in penis discipline means keeping your penis in your pocket.
Yes.
How did not having discipline back in the 90s impact you now overall as a man? How did that impact you?
I mean, one thing I realized, you learn from life teaches you lessons. And one thing I do know, one thing that I probably regret, because I had a baby out of wedlock in college.
I didn't know that.
I had a baby out of wedlock since she wasn't my wife. And when that child, when she told me she was pregnant, like it altered my whole life. I'm saying some of the things I wanted to do, I couldn't do no more. Because I had to be committed for 18 years to this child that was coming into the world.
Right.
So, and this wasn't even my wife. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just laid down with her and had sex and got her pregnant.
Right.
So therefore, I probably didn't really love her.
Right.
But because of what I did to her, I had to step up and take the responsibility to be a father, and that just changed my whole life, man.
How did you compromise your, you know, one of the things I teach young men, Charles, is that don't compromise your male sovereignty, don't compromise your power. In your first marriage, how did you compromise your masculinity for the sake of making the woman in your life happy? Meaning, you compromise your manhood to please a woman. What would you tell your younger self different than how you see the world now based on trial and error and experience and pain and hurt?
I believe that compromise is, some compromise is good.
Right.
Some compromise is bad.
And he's right. Some compromise is good and some compromise is bad. Compromise is essential for a relationship. But what you got now, men overcompromise and overcompensate, and they minimize what their needs and wants are as men. And that's a problem. That's a problem. That should never happen.
I'm saying you gotta realize that when you're dealing with a person, you're not dealing with yourself. It's somebody who's different from you. Their beliefs may not be your belief. The way they feel may not be the way you feel.
Right.
And sometimes you have to compromise because we know as human beings, nobody's perfect.
Right.
You can't always have things your way.
Right.
So sometimes you have to compromise as a man.
Right. One of the things, Charles, when it comes down to dating, when you and I were in school, dating was better. It wasn't Netflix and chill. We didn't have social media. The women weren't perfect, but they were better. Women get mad at men. Like when you and I were in school, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if a woman had kids, was she not looked down upon when we were kids coming up in the 90s?
But, of course, because we didn't really want to. We consider that a problem that was.
So those that are new to my channel, that's just how we got down in the 90s, man. We're not saying men back in the 90s, some of them won't simps, some of them were simps. But the women, in my opinion, were a better quality of women overall. I remember it, man. They were a better quality, man. And Gen X was our last great generation. Last great generation.
Right.
If it wasn't my child, I didn't want to deal with you.
Right.
It wasn't. I was thinking short term rather than long term.
Right.
Maybe now, as I'm older, I realize if I come across a female who has a child, I'm old enough now to understand through life lessons that the child is really not a deal breaker unless the mother allows it to be a deal breaker. She won't allow me to discipline the child.
It's a deal breaker, because in this day and age now, You can't discipline their children.
Hey, guys, hold on. So Bashir sent the picture. Yeah, but Bashir was pressure, man. Bashir, that's a beautiful woman, man. Look how graceful she is, man. Bashir was pressure. Pretty back in the 90s. Look at the hair. And that's what I remember of Gen X women. Beautiful woman. That's what I remember of Gen X women. Nice hair, nice skin. You know, you can see the collarbone. You know, nice looking picture, man. Nice looking picture. And that's what I remember Gen X women looking like, man. Gen X women back in the day were on point, man. All natural hair. All natural hair. No baby hair, no weave. That's what Gen X women look like, guys, back in the 90s, man. Gen X, but sure, you killed it back then, girl. She killed it. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, she killed it, man. Beautiful picture. Yeah, yeah, man. But sure killed it, man. I gotta give her props, man. But that's what I remember Gen X women looking like back in the day. Gen X women back then, not saying they were perfect, not saying they weren't influenced by feminism, because they were. But Gen X women back in the day looked a lot better, man. Looked a lot better. And they were a lot more natural. I would love to hear your story, Bashir. So did you run track, Bashir? Or you didn't run track? You were 17, okay. Yeah, you were 17. Nice picture. Trying to see, I think I showed you guys a picture of me when I was in high school. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on for a minute. Let me see if I can find my high school picture. I don't know if I can find it. Here we go. This is my high school. This is my high school picture when I think I was like 15 in this picture, man. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. So what? Yeah, I'm sure you were the truth then. Yeah, you could burn it up. Hold tight. Let me show you guys picture of me when I was in high school. Hold on. So that was me in high school, guys. I was the class president. You know, we call those classes back then schoolboys, man. Those are called schoolboys. Yeah. Yeah, we called them schoolboys, man. That was me back in I think I was like in 88. This is one of my classmates. I ran for high school. I ran for class president. And actually I won it. I was the class president of my senior class, man. But they took it from me because I slipped up and said a bad word. They took it from me, man. They took. I was devastated, guys. I was so devastated. But that was young coaching. Always been very ambitious. I've always been ambitious. All my classmates say you haven't changed a bit, and always been ambitious, man. And the sister to the left, she was at our class reunion. She told me, she said, "Let me win it," because she know they weren't ready for that Kosher 5, man. They weren't ready. But yeah, man, yeah. But sure was pressured, man. Like the young folks say, she was pressured. Something slight. She wants something slight. Yes, sir. Beautiful picture, sis. Beautiful picture. Beautiful picture.
And then at the end of the day, that child might come up and say, "You're not my dad," or a lot of these chicks still dealing with the baby fathers, man.
Right.
You know, you said something about femininity. You said something about, we talked about Randu women. Did Randu women, when you and I were going to school, get the same respect as women that respected their bodies? Because I think the generation now don't understand that you are not Gen X. We came from the 90s. women that was getting it in with different men, how were those women treated back then compared to now? How were they treated in your opinion?
I mean, the women that didn't respect themselves, man, we really didn't respect them because we figured that she didn't have no standards, she didn't have no morals, and basically, like, she really didn't have no boundaries for us. You know what I'm saying? So, being that she had no boundaries, since we did whatever, it was her, then on to the next one. That's the way it was.
If you got married again, man, what would be the key virtues you'd be looking for in a wife if you got married again? What would you look for? She got to have these qualities to be your wife. What would you look for?
Go ahead. I mean, the number one part, she had to have the fear of the Lord. Man.
Right, respect.
You know what I'm saying? It's not all about looks no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's all about, is she able to be submissive to me? Is she able to pray me out of situations? Is she willing to help me when I'm down?
Yes.
Believe in me? Or just have a...
And that's what a man is looking for, guys. Men are looking for a helpmate. Men are looking for a helpmate. I agree with my homeboy 100%. We're looking for helpmates.
A God-fearing life. I mean, that's what I look for.
You know, you played football in high school. You and I went to the same high school. And like I said, you went to Elizabeth City State. What do you remember about me, man, in high school, man? Because a lot of these folks don't remember I was a stunner. What do you remember about me in high school as far as the personality, the drive, and the ambition? What do you remember the most about me? And I'll tell you what I remember about you as well.
I mean, I remember you being a very likable guy. I mean, nothing bad to say about you. I mean, you was very ambitious.
Right.
And you try to center yourself around people who was doing something with themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you was always willing to learn and work harder. So basically, like, you didn't want anybody to outshine you.
Right. Oh yeah, I used to get it in, man. You know.
And you heard my homeboy said, we were world changers back then. I didn't want nobody to outshine me, man. Very competitive. We were world changers, man. I didn't want nobody to outshine me. Even when we played ball back then, we didn't want nobody to outshine us. Gen X cats back then, man, we lived for the moment. We wanted to change the world back in the day. That was our motto. And growing up in the country, we were country boys. We were true country boys, man. And we used to get it in. In the country, we had that country boy strength. We were proud. We were proud cats back then too. And so he's right.
You know, the thing I remember about my man Charles is that good brother, sort of quiet, but he was fierce. He was a hitter. And his brother Wayne could drop in the gym in basketball, but this dude would knock the stew out of you, man. He was a hitter in high school, man. Multi-star athlete. I played against him in elementary school. He said that he beat us twice, man, in elementary school. I don't remember, man. I remember. I think we split. They beat us one time. They beat us at West. They beat us at the West. We beat them at the South. I don't remember. But he was a phenomenal athlete, a go-getter, hard worker. You know, you grew up in the country. Did you have your father's guidance? And what's like when young men now with male guidance? How did your father guide or not guide you as a young man? And what's lacking now with parental guidance from older men, in your opinion?
No, I really didn't have my father's guidance.
Right.
I grew up in a broken home.
Wow.
So my grandfather was in the house, and my mother. Like, one brother, 3 sisters. I'm saying the men that impacted my life was my high school, was my middle school, high school coaches.
Right.
Those was the men that instilled good things in me. For like respect and authority, not giving up and not quitting. So I really had my father around, showing them things.
Right. I'm gonna end this interview soon, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Here recently, man, you and I are from the generation that had Keith Sweat, Tracy Ellis Ross. Tracy Ellis Ross says she don't like dating Gen X men because she said Gen X men have too many expectations. What do you say to a man that's want to stand on business as a man with women of that generation or liberal women that don't want to respect a man and respect his authority? And then we're going to talk about Keith Sweat in a minute, and then we're going to end it. What do you think about Tracy Ellis Ross saying That's why I don't deal with Generation X men, because they got too many expectations, and she want a partner, and she's very liberal. What do you say about liberal women and women like Tracy Ellis Ross? What do you say to those women?
I feel like the statement that she made, she's really the type of female she want to do her own thing. And she one of the type of females that would say that she want a good man, but then when a good man come her way, she will fumble that man, because she seems like the type of female that want to do her own thing.
Right. She want to be in control.
Yeah.
You know, you and I remember Keith Sweat when we were kids growing up. Keith Sweat made songs like "Something Ain't Right," "Make This Last Forever." But Keith Sweat came under scrutiny recently, CB, because Keith Sweat said women of this generation don't want to cook or clean. And so they were saying he needed to get with an old woman. But I want you to tell the audience before I let you go, was it not standard, like the women you dated back in the day, when you and I grew up, the girls you dated, did they not cook you a meal back then? Was it normal for a girl to cook you a meal or fix you a plate that you remember when you grew up in the country?
Yeah, back when I was growing up, it was.
And so when you say fix your plate, even if she was your girlfriend, it wasn't seen as wife duty, right?
If she was hungry, if I was hungry, she gave me something to eat.
Right. And
it was simple.
Right, and then also not folding clothes, but she did do nice things for you.
Yes.
What do you say to the women that say that's wife duty? What do you say to the women?
Well, they're not ready to be a wife.
Yes. And in your mind, before I let you go, Gen X. This is the Gen X Nexus conversation with my man CB. What qualities besides being God-fearing? And I think you talked about it briefly, but what does a wife mean to you?
Wife mean to me is somebody that will help me. When I'm down, she's there to pick me up. When I come home from a hard day's work, when I step into the house, I want to be at peace.
Right.
She's concerned about my well-being. She's concerned about my mental condition.
Yes.
I'm saying if she can help me any type of way, she will.
Right.
No questions asked.
Right.
That's my definition of a help me.
Listen, God, this is my man. He looks like DMX, man. We brought him back from the dead. But this is my man, CB, man. Listen, man, I appreciate the interview, man. This class of 90 Gen X Nexus. I got my man, CB, in the house, guys. We signing off. Thank you for the interview, brother. Appreciate it, brother. Yes, sir.
All right, guys, that's my homeboy. That was my homeboy, guys, CB. Hold tight. Let me find this thing, man. That was homeboy. Yeah, that was my homeboy CB, man. Yeah, concerned about his well-being and mental health. Yeah, you don't hear this. And yep, that's true, Quiet Storm. Right. You want a woman, man. When my mom died, man, my wife poured into me, man. She was there for me. She was nurturing. And she poured into me, man. Poured into me, man. So if God forbid something happens to me and my wife, I'm good, man. Because if I ever got married again, she would have to be a top tier woman. She would have to be top tier. She would have to be top tier, guys. She would have to be top tier, man. I'm just keeping the beam, man. Yeah, she got to be top tier. I'm gonna show y'all this picture before we end it, guys. I'm gonna show y'all what I'm gonna show you guys what old school relationships look like back in the day. Now, this is my uncle. This is my uncle. This is my dad's brother. He's dead now. My uncle Frank. He lived up in New York. He was in, I think, in Brooklyn or Bronx. Look how fine his wife was. That's my Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank about 6'2". But look how fine the women were back then. How elegant they were, guys, back in the 70s. Uncle Frank used to kill it, man. but he died about 2 years ago, man. But that's my Uncle Frank. That's my dad, brother. He would have been about 84ish or 85. But that was back in the 70s in New York. Look at how elegant his wife was, man. Look how beautiful she was. Beautiful sisters. But look at how beautiful black women were back in the day, guys. I mean, black women back in the 70s, the 60s, fine, man. Beautiful women, man. And that's all black men are saying, man. We want women to go back to being fine and refined. But now baby hair and weave, man. And I thought my Uncle Frank was a singer from the Spinners. He, yeah, my Uncle Frank was something else, man. Big dude, man. My Uncle Frank, I thought he was from the Spinners. Yeah, from New York. He used to live in New York, man. That's my uncle. I thought he was the singer from the Spinners, man. He was a mess. He was killing them. My Uncle Frank used to kill him, man. Yeah, he used to kill him, man, back in the day. But bless his soul. Uh, and that's my uncle's Frank's son. That's his son. I'm 6'5". So my cousin used to live in New York. He's about 6'6", I believe. Well, I don't know. We both about 6'6". But look how big his hands are, guys. That's my dad's nephew. He's a boomer, and he can still bench 300 pounds. He can still bench 300. That's my cousin. Can still bench 300 pounds, man. That's my other cousin. I think he's a Hebrew Israelite. I don't know if he is or not. I think he is. That's my other cousin. Yeah, I got Israelites in my family, but also, I'm Christian, but yeah, that's my cousin right there. And that was my uncle at his funeral. That's my uncle. Hey, who's the tallest guy? Am I taller or is he taller, man? I don't know. I think I got him, man. But that's my cousin, man. Truck driver. He was a Marine. He was a man back in the day. Kosher Captain. He's 6'6" with shoes on. Yeah, man, I'm 6'6", man. Hey, what do you see, Bashir? You can see what? You can see what? Tell me what you see. What you mean? You can see that? What you see? Do we look like cousins? All right, so let me hold tight. That was Dr. Ron Neal, guys, in Dominican. We went to Brazil. That was me. That was me in Brazil, man. Me in Brazil. That's my man Al Greaves. That was back in 2001. Yep, Christ the Redeemer, man. 2001 in Brazil, man. All right. Anyway, I think we're going in here, guys. It's a good show. Good show. One more picture. I got a stun on him. I got a stun on him. That was me in high school. I got to stun him just a little bit. I think I was 25 in this picture. I was about 24, 25, man. Look at that Gen X swag, man. That's that Gen X swag, man. That Gen X swag. Yeah, y'all see that Gen X swag? they ain't ready for a quad store. They ain't ready for that Gen X swag, man. That's young kosher, man. 25, man. They ain't ready for a quad store, man. Man, thank God for Jesus, because I was a bit of a mess, man. If I wasn't trying to live right. Back in my 20s, woo, man. I was on a righteous path, man. I was a good guy, man. That was me when I was like 20, 25 in that picture, man. 24, 25, man. 6'4", man. 6'5". No. I didn't mistake him as one of the members. He looked like one of the members of the Spinners. Hold tight, Bashir. Yeah, he was the lead singer of the Spinners. Let me see. He was the lead singer. His name was John Edwards, I believe. Hold tight. Bobby Smith. I thought it was. Let's see. I think the song was called. Y'all remember the song from the '70s called "The Rubber Band Man"? Y'all remember that song? Rubber Band Man. Oh, here you go. Yeah, I ain't gonna play it, but I'm gonna show y'all a picture. I'm gonna show y'all a picture of this guy. Hold on. Now, this man, y'all tell me what y'all think. He looked just like my Uncle Frank, man. Y'all. Yeah, he looks like my Uncle Frank. Let me show y'all this, man. I'm gonna end it. Hold on. Let me show y'all. Y'all tell me if you don't look if you look like my Uncle Frank. Hold on. Now, y'all look at that dude, and I'm gonna show you back the picture of my Uncle Frank. That was one of the lead singers of the Spinners. Played the song called the Rubber Band Man. The Rubber Band Man. He was the lead singer of the Spinners. Now, if you look at my uncle and you look at him, y'all tell me if y'all don't see a difference. Hold tight. Let me show y'all. Hold tight. Yeah, I think it's like my uncle, man. Oh, you can see the resemblance. Okay, cool. She can see the resemblance. Oh, Philip Wynn. Yeah, that was his name, Philip Wynn. Yeah, my uncle's about 6'2". Yeah. I used to get Big Daddy Kane too. I got Big Daddy Kane. I got that's my baby girl, Keith Sweat. Hold on, not Keith Sweat. I forgot who I got. Hold on. But back then, guys, men were men. Testosterone levels were higher, and and men were men. Shout out to Smoking and Smoking Talk podcast. Men were men. But yeah, that's my uncle. He looked like Philip Wynn from the Spinners. Yeah, I think that was Phil's Soul, man. Well, you guys can see it. Look, it's like Philip Wynn from the Spinners, man. And they told me I used to look like Big Daddy. I got Big Daddy Kane when I was in high school. I got Aaron Hall. Who else did I get? I got Aaron Hall. Got Malik Yorba. I got several people, man, growing up when I was young, man. You know, I got. They said I look like Dwayne Wayne. I was trying to see if I can find the picture, man. I got Dwayne Wayne. I got a lot. I got called a lot of different folks, man, when I was young. But I was a good guy. I went out here in these streets, man. I grew up in the church, man. I was deep in the church, so I went out here killing the game. But it's a good thing I wasn't, because I probably would have been a mess. Oh, here you go. Yeah, here you go. I would have been a mess. Let me see if I can find this picture. All right. So we're gonna end it, guys, in a minute. Let me show y'all one of my Gen X pictures. I did this with a show with a cat, with Ingram. But that was that Gen X swag, guys. They ain't ready, man. That was King Kosher, man. Y'all see Aaron Hall in the back. You know, y'all see Aaron Hall. Y'all see Big Daddy Kane. They ain't ready, man. They ain't ready, man. They ain't ready. That was like Gen X pressure, man. That was young Kosher. That was young Kosher, guys, back in the 90s, man. I think I was like 20, 19, 20. Who do y'all think? Would y'all say Big Daddy Kane? Would you say Kandeem Hardison, or would you say what's my man name? Not R. Kelly, but Kelly Rowley, Teddy Rowley. Which one would y'all say? Aaron Hall. I'm sorry, Aaron Hall. Which one would y'all say? As far as looks. Between which one would y'all say? He said Big Daddy Kane. So like Big Daddy Kane, yeah. I used to get that too. Sow a seed. But I won't sow in no seeds like Big Daddy Kane don't sow a seed. I won't sow in no seeds, man. Y'all say Big Daddy Kane? Yeah, I won't sow in no seeds like Big Daddy Kane. But they used to tell me Aaron Hall. Yeah, but anyway, guys, I miss them days, man. I miss them days. But anyway, guys, we're gonna end it here. Before I end it, guys, special shout out to those that donated on today. Shout out to Gregory Scotland, be the #1 sponsor. Shout out to my man St. James for the 20 on yesterday. Shout out to him. Shout out to Hashim Shabazz. Shout out to Revelated Spirit of Indifference. Shout out to Hashim Shabazz again for the 5. Shout out to Hashim Shabazz for the 2. Shout out to Revelated Spirit of Indifference. And also shout out to Gregory Scotland. He's the #1 sponsor of the stream. Guys, we're going to end it here. Thank you for everyone tuning in. But sure, thank you, man, for sharing your picture. I appreciate it. And guys, we are going to end it here. And guys, this is another show talking about Gen X. And like Keith Sweat said, something ain't right. And unfortunately, guys, it ain't never going back to the way it used to be. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon.
They don't want to cook no more. I wash my own clothes. I iron my own clothes. They don't want to cook no more. I wash my own clothes. I iron my own clothes.
What's wrong with modern women? Gone are the days where men get old school love and reciprocation. Keith Sweat recently added credence to the conversation about how selfish and entitled modern women have become. Was he correct? It is a trend that's been getting more attention lately. And it's not just about men losing interest, but often about emotional exhaustion, unmet needs, or feeling undervalued. When men check out of relationships, it can stem from a mix of personal and relational factors: stress, lack of communication, feeling unheard, or even struggling with vulnerability.
You gotta bring something to the table to get something for me. They don't want to cook no more. I wash my own clothes. I iron my own clothes. I don't mind telling you, I'm single.
But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it.
Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male. Fire for your mind. Kosher clinician. Aside to become the kosher clinician, the story and the war cry behind the kosher clinician was similar to some of the struggles and the pains I have been through as a man. And some of you men are still going through that right now. There's a philosophical term called an existentialist crisis. Basically what that means is that you begin to ask yourself the question, why am I existing? What is the purpose of my existence? And I think that's the story of a lot of men that have not been more or less raised or under the tutelage of masculine men. One of the greatest indictments, guys, about the manosphere is that people assert and assume that the manosphere pushes misogyny and hate. But the manosphere is not responsible and was created a silo as the front to women or black women. But the manosphere was responsible for paying the suffering that any black men were going through and continue to go through as we speak now. Once again, gentlemen, we are going through an existential crisis. Our country is in trouble. Some of you are in trouble, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And you're not ready to move to higher ground until you get the requisite help that's going to help you become the better version of yourself.
Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher, clinician.
All right. There it is. All right. Now hit it for me.
And it ain't culture. 7 in hell is what they taught you. We'll put them, and you can back up in young Dawson. Kosher, clinician.
All right, stop that. All I want you to say is, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Say that first, okay? All right, you ready?
Start over?
Yeah, start it.
No. Okay, if it ain't 7, it ain't culture, and...
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
Okay.
Heaven and hell is what they taught you.
Okay, perfect. Do that again, but give me a little attitude. If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And action.
Young heads picking back up in young dolphin. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher, clinician. That was cool.
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture. Heaven and hell, that's what they taught you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up in young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.